audience to sorry about that. Yeah. So I'll just take, I think, one more minute for the audience to settle in. And I think in the meantime, we can do is you'll find one poll over here where a small question about the organization and the work that you are doing will be shared with you. It would be great if you can give us your response here. It will help us understand the audience and will add a lot of value in the discussions after panel discussion. I think it's great to see the results here. We have quite a few people from CSR, NGO, we have researchers, and we have people from corporates. And I'm sure there'll be more students as well joining in for this session. And we'll I think we can move ahead, Sharanya, from here. It's thank you so much for sharing your insights, and it's great to know. The diverse backgrounds of the people who have come here. And before we move ahead, I'll just share the agenda of today's session. Today's session is divided into two parts. Good, no worries, no worries. Yeah. Thanks, Sharanya. So yeah, I'm supported by a team of people. There's Sharanya, Anaga, Pooja, who are helping me set up this. So sorry about the little bit of glitches, but yeah, moving forward, I think today's session will be divided into two sections. The first section is which is going to be a briefer section where we're going to be setting the context and taking you through the findings of our research. And part two of the session is very interesting, where we're going to be doing the panel discussion where with the extremely interesting panel which has been curated from the experts across the ecosystem. And largely we have people from the funding ecosystem, from skilling, and from policy interventions to reflect on these findings and chart the way forward from here. And so the research study, this is after the panel discussion, we would want to get your feedback and have a conversation with you as well. So I think it would be great to have these discussions open up with you. And now moving forward, I think I would yeah, these are the basic hygiene rules. If you are unable to hear us, if there is a challenge in audio, I would request you to please rejoin the session. And otherwise, the team is there to respond. You can write all the messages on the chat box and move ahead. So, yeah, moving forward, I think first, at the onset of this session today, I would want to say that this research study has been made possible through our meaningful partnership with AISECT. And they have not only supported this whole initiative where largely from not only from the sponsorship perspective, but there has been a great contribution from their domain knowledge perspective, their background of working across the country in the space of skilling, STEM education, and their continuous endeavor towards bringing more girls in science. And I think it is my pleasure to invite Aditi over here. She's the director at AISECT. And I think, Aditi, it would be great to hear from you, like, why STEM, and why is it such a critical area of inquiry for AISECT? And why ISECT chose to partner with SKI for this area of work. Over to you, Aditi. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Shweta. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be a part of this conversation. ISECT is working in the field of education and skill development for the past 40 years. When we see at the coming future, we see that a lot of job roles are going to be in the STEM education. If we see, there are about 80% of the job roles which will come up, which are in AI, ML, data science, in digital infrastructure, in clean energy. But we also understood while working in this field for the past 40 years that there is a dearth of skilled manpower in this field, as well as there is a less inclusivity in terms of genders specificity, and therefore we wanted to understand what are the structural problems which are there on the ground and how can we bridge this demand supply gap. This is statistics which shows that around 100 students who take up STEM subjects in their grades, lower grades, only 3 of them come up as being employable in this sector in the future. Can we have the next slide, please? So that's how we understood that ISECT should take up this role of understanding the ground reality, because we have been in this sector for the past 40 years. We train around 1 lakh students every year, out of which 40% are girls. We plan to do so by 3 means. One, we wanted to develop our knowledge bank and also emerge as a knowledge leader in this field, where we understand what are the structural issues on the ground level. Also, we wanted to advocate on this topic. We wanted to align more with the government initiatives. And we also wanted to bring in more and more CSR funding as well as government initiatives, which then can bridge this gap, and more girl students can come in and take up STEM related courses for their education as well as career opportunity. So this initiative started 2 years back, where our first report in association with Sattva came, where we understood that there are regional variations present. There are variations in terms of economic status, and these challenges which are there in the field, which impede girls from taking up STEM as their education or career opportunities. We divided that into 3 segments when the study happened. This was the first study which came up last year in the name of Barriers to Breakthrough. And we understood that there are challenges which are gender agnostic, gender accentuated, and gender specific. We studied around 8 states, and also we understood that down south, the awareness is more, the acceptance is more, and there are 80% of students who take up STEM as their career options. But in states like West Bengal, Jharkhand, Punjab, there are only 20% of girl students who take up STEM as their education option or career option. That's why in the next report, we thought we'll only focus on states where there is regional variation, and we understand that there are some states which are richer in experience, and there are some states where there is more focus to be given. And these 4 are the next states which we took up in the next study, which is going to be discussed around. So that is how we dwelled into all of this. And the next research study was only focused on the financial needs of the girl students and how that can be catered to, so that more and more girls can take up STEM as their career opportunities. I would hand it over now to Shweta to talk about the findings of the report, how was this report conducted, and the methodology around it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Aditi, for this robust background that you have set, and I can't be thankful enough, like for today's days, that we have been waiting, and a lot of credit goes to ISEC team that not only supported us in the entire process of brainstorming and writing, but also in data collection. The entire state teams were a great support to us. So and as yeah, that's me on the screen. I as I had mentioned, I'm Shweta, and I'm part of the education practice area at Sattva, and we have been continuously working for past 3 years in the space of school to work transition, where STEM has emerged as a very critical area of work, and as rest of the things Aditi had already shared. And this research is a follow-up of our previous research study that highlighted the importance of financial support or its absence of financial supports in girls' continuation in the science education. So and I would say this research is part of our commitment and shared commitment to generating solutions towards enabling more girls in taking up science. So moving forward, I think I'm super excited right now at this moment. So this is the QR code available on the screen. Please scan it. This is an access to the report. Please use it, read it. You can also access the link given on the chat box for this report. And we would love to hear back from you. If not today, after the panel discussion, it would be great. You can write to us anytime, tomorrow, day after, or in the week's time. It would be great to hear what are the areas that we have left, or what areas have helped you solve for certain challenges. So yeah, moving forward, I I think we can be at the QR code scan for another 5 seconds so that everyone is able to access it. And yeah, I think where I feel that how we started with the research was trying to understand what are the financial needs of the girls. But more than that, I think we were also focusing a lot on identifying the factors that shape the aspiration of the girls, the presence or absence of finances role in that. And then we were also looking at what impedes their access to financial support, and assess, is the financial need for all girls same, or is there a difference across the grades, across the states? Is there a variation that we can see? And then to develop a framework to really capture, like, how do we understand the different financial needs? And on basis of that, we've tried to create a cost model for per child, per year cost model. And I think this research is going to compel the funders to rethink when we think of financial support, when we say the term scholarship, all these things, we have to rethink about it, because the needs are very different. And we're glad to take you through this. And yeah, so I think the first thing that I want to share is the research methodology. And it is we undertook this study across the 4 states, as Aditi had mentioned. Our aim was to understand not only the financial barriers that girls face in continuing with science, but also the diversity of their aspirations, the competencies, how their financial support systems that they can access, and sometimes they cannot. So that was the premise that we looked at, and we have explored a lot of secondary research. But I think I would like to use the time to thank all the people who have generously shared their time as an expert to this research study. uh, Massive support from the school teachers, parents, and definitely the girls, and the field team of AISECT, who has helped us in generating this data. So we went across 4 states in gathering the information, having these conversations across the schools. And we covered around 25 districts for this research, and 4,763 girls, which sounds like a massive number. But to think of it, I think it was really a needed thing, where we could capture the nuance across the states. So, like, to begin with, I think let's start by looking the one of the key barriers that we have focused our study on, that girls face in pursuing science in higher secondary education, and the financial constraints. And science education is significantly more expensive. There are a lot of hidden costs. There are like I will share in the next slide also, like how the hidden costs are felt by the parents, and sometimes by the teachers also. The cost of commuting, the cost of accessing extra tuitions, cost of accessing guidance, like which what to do, whom to approach, and absence of those relatable role models in the rural areas. These all things I think make science much more aspirational and a distant path for girls. So our data shows, previous slide, Rajan. Yeah, our data shows that around 58% of the girls reported facing financial constraint, and this had the direct impact on their choices that they made. And although 71% of the girls have chosen science as their favorite subject, science is like science and math, and but only 20% of these girls, or 58% of the girls who were facing financial constraint, could actually finally pick up science. And when we talk about the financial constraints, Jharkhand was the state where girls showed or highlighted this challenge the most. And the move ahead, the gap between this aspiration and excess is a critical one, and that's what the research has tried to unpack. And these are the few statements that have come from our field experts, teachers, and the parent, where they've very strongly stated that the hidden costs are so high. Like one of our experts, Dr. Indumati, has shared that parents also do trade-off. And for girls, and there is research by Rashmi and the group of people who have stated that the difference starts from few hundred rupees, from 800, 900, and it ranges to 3,000, 4,000 rupees till the students reach the higher secondary grades. For the girls, between the difference between the parents spending on girls and boys. So that's the stark reality that we face in terms of the challenges that the girls are facing for towards accessing the financial support. And now when we look at the situation that I've pictured, like it is difficult to access science, but is it so bad that there is no support available? I think very clearly government is spending around 13,000 crores of rupees as scholarship, and there has been a massive investment in creating that national scholarship portal. 143 schemes have been brought together, and but the reality is, of these 4,700 girls we have interviewed, only 29% have heard of some kind of scheme. And of this scheme also, or the scholarship, is also largely that Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, which has been a flagship scheme, and they have heard from here and there. They have not been able to access it, and I think since they are not able to access, there is a huge gap between the allocation and real usage of the funds allocated by the government. And you can see the underutilization of the scholarship funds is very high. And when we when we look at, when we move further, there is one thing is at the awareness level, the challenge ones, and the other thing is also availability of funds. If you look at across the states under study where uptake of science is poor, is also having lesser scholarships available for students. And the research also highlighted like how the percentage of scholarships for the school students is much lower than the percentage that is available for college going students. Or the support that is needed should start at the school level. We have a lot of support system coming after they have cracked some college entrance exam or admission to college, but I think a lot of seepage happens at the school level, which becomes an extremely challenging thing to see the pipeline coming into the college. So but I think we can move to the next slide. The challenge is there are enough support system available, but then why are girls not able to access it? I think I can put it across like 3-4 types of challenges, which can be systemic, procedural, awareness related, and structural challenges, which I think you can go in the details in the report also to understand that awareness nahi hai. There are available loans, but the small amount that the girls would have needed at the school level, that access to those is limited. The government has a lot of policies in place, but awareness is not there. So access and ability to capture that is rare. And then there is the national scholarship portal, but access to that portal, and that portal still having a lot of things, verifications happening manually, taking some 3 months to 12 months of time to disburse the scholarships or the funding amount. All these things are a big deterrent. There is a complex process to apply for that. Girls do not have documents to apply, and then that has come out very strongly in their conversations, where they have stated that we need gadgets to apply for scholarships. Even if they're aware, I think they understand that there is a bottleneck that they have to cross for it. Now moving further, I think the biggest question that is there in our mind was like, are all girls having same financial needs? Challenges are very similar, but are their needs same? So now we have, when we looked at the gap, that we also realized that financial need is not uniform. When we started, we thought like a grade 11 with science would be very, very homogeneous entity. However, it was very stark to understand that they have different academic competencies. Their aspirations are different, and that is what makes their financial needs also very different. And using this lens, we use the BCG Amazon matrix, and where need versus readiness or competency, and we led to the identification of 4 distinct student persona, each with different level of support required, and to stay on this pathway. And we can, like our study has called them sustainers, trailblazers, aspirers, and disengaged. So sustainers and trailblazers are our hero girls who are performing well, and sustainers are the ones like, not all families are in the condition where they can't support their girls. So sustainers are those girls, they're doing well, they're on track, they need some kind of support, but they are on track, they will little bit of support and they'll reach there. Trailblazers are the ones who have high financial needs, high aspiration, very high performance, and they want to get into through the technical college. They have good aspiration, they know the pathway where they can go if financial aid is provided to them. Aspirers are the majority of the population that we would call, but they is a huge mismatch between their aspiration and competency. Largely, they understand STEM careers, they know there is a good future and growth, but their competencies are very poor. So lack of guidance is, I think, leading to this thing. And then there is a percentage of girls which are disengaged, very strong representation of the existing social norms, gendered norms, where they do not face a lot of financial challenge, but at the same time they do not aspire as well. They need to be there is more need to build those agency and negotiation skills in the girls against those existing gender norms, which can work in terms of these bringing these disengaged girls into the career pathway also. So what this story tells us is, one size fits all funding does not work, and each girl's journey, her barriers, and her the potential intervention point is very different. And the financial support that anyone is thinking about has to be designed with this nuance in mind. We have to come out of the financial design which is being focused a lot from the perspective of the funder. This has to be a very need based approach to really ensure that the girls are continuing in science. And when we talk about this nuance focus, we also map the financial needs of the girls across grade 9 to 12, across the states, across these personas. And it was interesting to see that from career counseling to mentorship in early grades, to refresher books, digital gadgets access, coaching, speaking English, using computers. So all these kind of requirements or the needs have come up by the girls, and they've also talked about the that all these things should be provided to us so that we can stay in this space. And a lot of these things are invisible to the system. The approach currently is very specific, one time scholarship, one time funding, that is actually not even sustaining the yearly expenditure of the girls in science stream. So this again reinforces the idea of one-time scholarship that will cover only tuition is not the way to go forward. It is not enough. The girls need holistic multi-year support commitment by the funder to truly unlock the opportunities that can help them help them stay in science and really build a career in that. So I think the more challenging thing that we look at is the variation in the needs across the grades also. I think the funder, the research is really talking about how the funding has to resonate with the academic calendar of the year, how the different needs of career guidance, of accessing those expert conversations, role models. Uh, for everyone, it is critical that these kind of that the persona of the girl is taken in mind when we are designing a financial aid. It has to be holistic, otherwise the situation will not improve. And when across the grades is this scenario, when we look at the across the states also, we see the needs are differing, varying. For example, in an aspirer in Jharkhand may need intense hand holding in terms of providing tuition to become grade appropriate, as compared to the other personas. So I think I'm getting uh, time check here. So I think the last of the points that the research is making is about the emerging career pathways and the associated costs with that. And largely to make it more actionable, we've looked at, I think once you go through the research, it will be very interesting to see that how these cost models have also emerged. It ranges from 25,000 for aspirers, if we can really if the funding is directed towards providing gateway to vocational education and training, through which they can enter as an alternate pathway to enter the STEM careers. And industry people have also openly spoken about this pathway as starting early, so that they can grow internally, and to ranging to 1 lakh per year for the trailblazers who need extensive coaching for the competitive exam. So and there are different pathways that we have finally talked about in terms of cost. So I think when we look at the entire study, we would say the first intuitive thought that comes to the mind is largely that the academic competency would be the key driver for girls to take up science. The research really challenges this thought process. There was very little relationship between the academic competency, but there was a lot of interplay of these factors, which you can see on the screen, that played a decision making factor for the girls. And it is important that when the funding is provided, it is kept, this nuance is kept in the mind, to understand that funder has to think of all the nuances can be provided. And that is where when we move further to the way forward here, uh, a private funder uh, or a dedicated CSR intervention which would want more girls to be in science has to look at more at the holistic approach from for different grades, starting from planning and designing the financial aid from the need based perspective, long term commitment, thinking of the career pathways for the girls, having very strong NGO partnerships to shortlist the girls on the basis of the career that they are choosing, and making strategic investments in the regions which need most attention, and having technology integration in bringing transparency and efficiency and effectiveness in the disbursement of the funds. For the government, I think, as I said, the five metrics are important here. So government, the girls have said that access to science, parents have said that challenge of sending girls to faraway places, the issue of security, everything has a role to play here for ensuring girls commitment or continuation in the STEM fields. So that is where I think when government is planning for funding, not only from the perspective of providing scholarships, I think looking at a holistic funding for senior secondary sections with providing science infrastructure, enabling female teachers, and having this whole financial aid scholarship not only having connotation of merit, because there are a lot of girls which get marginalized and are not academically performing as per the sorting system of India because of their marginalization. So equity perspective also in scholarship can play a great role. And I think these are the things which I have quickly taken through it. It's a year-long research which has come out, and I think it would be too much things to absorb for you. You have the report with you. I would suggest please go through it. Let us know your feedback. We've tried to answer a lot of questions, but still there are a few more questions which might be emerging from here. And I have been struggling myself with this one question, like how do you scale it up? How do you scale this whole idea of understanding the personas? How can the collaboration between the civil society, between the different stakeholders be more vibrant to ensure this community, marginalized community of the girls in government schools, are also at equity, at par with the other students to take up STEM careers? So I think that's where I wanted to hear your comments. So these are a few questions I'm going to leave you with, which Charan, can you just put that slide again? So where I'm leaving you with these specific questions in terms of, you can come back to us, write to us on that, and would love to hear your inputs and your reflections on our research. And I think I have overshot 5 minutes, but I didn't do a bad job. That's what I would say. Now I'm gonna open this discussion further, like how do we take it further from here for the panel discussion. And I'm extremely honored to invite my panelists. So first of all, I will invite Arjun here. Hi Arjun, thanks for being here. Arjun leads the entire education practice at Sattva. And over to you, Arjun. Over here, I think what we would be discussing largely is like what's happening on the ground. There are experts from the field, and what needs to change and why. I think that's what I would set the context for the discussion. Over to you, Arjun.
Thank you, Shweta, and a very good evening to everyone who's joined. Can I do a mic check? Am I audible? Just give me a thumbs up. Brilliant. So as you can see, we are all very excited about the report that has come out, and I'm now looking forward to having a conversation with some eminent folks who have made time to join us today. But even before I welcome them, I want to thank everybody who's joined. I know it's a Friday evening and the week's coming to a close, and I do know that April coming after March is generally a very, very busy time for everyone. So thank you very much. And we have to thank Shweta for making us all join on a Friday evening. But having said that, let me quickly introduce my esteemed panel today. We've got Yogesh Bhat, who's been carving a STEM career for students from non-STEM backgrounds, and in that sense, challenging the academic system, which is known for sorting and providing, and his work has been providing students a second chance of building STEM careers for themselves. Welcome, Yogesh. We also have Seema Kumar, who's Deputy Director at the Smile Foundation. And for the last about 15 plus years, she's been practicing need-based funding for girls. We've got Shilpi Varshney, who's a Director of Projects at AISECT and has been working with girls, their parents, and the industry to bridge the gap of skilled workforce, basically enabling entry of girls into STEM workforce. And finally, we've got Dr. Jigna Nawani with us, who's from Piramal and has been working with the government, with the community, and has been playing an important role in building awareness and mindset shifts in ensuring that the government scholarships and fundings can reach the right beneficiary. So welcome again, and thank you for making time. I know that we are running a little bit behind schedule, so I'm going to jump right into this. For the other members who've joined, if you have questions, I'll encourage you to put them on chat. The Sattva team members who have joined will try and get to as many questions as they can, and we will respond to them at the end. I promise to try and make sure we have time at the end for your questions to be taken up. And in all of that, I will try very hard that we wrap up on time at 6 so you can have the Friday evening back to you. With that, I am going to kick off this conversation with Seema ji. Seema ji, as someone who enables education through scholarships, I wanted to start off this conversation by asking you, what are, as somebody who enables funding and enables scholarships, enables access to finance, what are some of the challenges that you have seen that you think prevent you from doing a better, more effective job, and also enable, from a girl's lens of saying, what are the challenges they might be facing in taking up some of these opportunities and scholarships that you are providing?
Yeah. So am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Arjun. And firstly, I must congratulate Aditi and Shweta for presenting this good report. Shweta, thank you so much. It resonates all our experiences actually. But talking of, what we are facing most at Smile, I mean, understanding that yes, one ideal situation will come when funders are going to fund, long term. They are going to give long term support and will match with academic calendars and everything. But generally talking of, the other challenges, what we're experiencing mostly is the engaging of lesser number of girls, for the science stream in higher secondary, because you're working in all kind of areas, I mean, rural, tribal, and across all the country, in the aspirational blocks also. And we really find the need of it. So first challenge, what is in is the disparity is due to lack of, ability and ambition among the girls to study science. This is what we have found. And mostly when students don't get good teachers to ignite interest and curiosity, so the non-conducive ecosystem is the big one reason, big one challenge for us actually to handle. The second one is the systematic barriers that begin early in the education. Financial constraints, societal norms, and limited access to resources disproportionately discourage young girls from pursuing the STEM field. And another very important is the unawareness on scholarships and the existing schemes. Now, most of the girls from low-income group hesitate to offer science stream. They fear that they would need coaching, tutorials, learning material, and all at cost. But they don't know that there are scholarships available for all the support. So what we are doing at Smile is, we are addressing all this in very holistic manner. We are improving the accessibility of science education in schools as well through our education program. And we are trying to provide a conducive ecosystem. And also along with that, a lot of awareness on the resources and schemes. So this is, what in like a brief I can explain right now.
Thank you, Seema ji. I think three things kind of stood out for me. One is obviously you highlighted the lack of ability and ambition, and that is a lack that we think that girls sometimes often feel that they don't have the ability, and there is a lot of systemic processes that you mentioned, systemic barriers that kind of maybe just influence some of that thinking, because we've typically seen that girls outperform boys in science and maths and lower grades, but by the time they come to higher grades, that it reverses. And so maybe there is a systemic barrier at play there that you highlighted. But you also highlighted that there is an access, the cost of education is also a significant factor. And the lack of awareness of scholarships and funding opportunities, I think, is a critical piece that needs to be solved for. And I think maybe that's a key piece that we have to identify in terms of how do we shift that level of awareness with girls, and both in building their confidence of saying, can we take up science? And also, if I do decide to take up science, what are the opportunities that exist for me? So thank you very much for that input. I'm going to ask this very similar question to Shilpi. The same question. You work with a large number of girls as well. What is the current situation, and what is, in your experience, what have you seen? What is limiting girls from taking up science education? And what are some of the challenges that you've seen in terms of the funding opportunities for girls? It'll be good to hear about your input as well. Can I request my colleagues to allow Dr. Shilpi to be a co-host so that she can unmute herself.
Shilpi is co-host.
You should be able to unmute. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Please go
Are
ahead.
you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes. So can you please repeat the question, Arjun?
Absolutely. The question is actually almost a follow-up and a repeat of the first question that I had asked.
Yeah.
Because you work with a large number of girls as well. I just wanted to ask from your experience, what is it that is limiting girls from taking up science education? And what are some of the big challenges that you think that they're facing that actually prevent them from taking up some of the funding opportunities that do exist?
Okay. So in continuation to what Seema ji said, I would like to share the experience which AISECT is having. Basically, there are two strong points which we can discuss over here. One is lack of awareness at a deeper level. Because when we look at the report which Shweta has already shared with us, 56% of girls already know about traditional STEM careers. Like they know by taking STEM, they can become doctor, teacher, or engineer. But they don't know about the peripheral career options which are also available, right, at this point of time, like AI, like 3D printing, like health technicians. These are a lot of career options which are available, but the girls whom we want to encourage to take STEM as career are not aware of these kind of options. So that lack of awareness, that lack of counseling is required. And to our experience, like as Aditi told, we at AISECT are working at more than 2,200 government schools across India under the NSQF scheme. And we have realized through our experience, and it is time tested, that whenever we do mobilization by male mobilizers, the conversion of girls into the badges are low. But whenever we make a mix of female and male mobilizer or all women mobilizer, the conversion is very high. So here again comes a question that there is a strong need of inducting and training a lot of female STEM mentors at the school level, because right now in across India, in the government schools, there are only 13% of female science trainers or female science teachers. So this very small proportion of idols who are trying to convert these girls into STEM careers is very low. We have to look into this aspect. Second very important point is lack of financial literacy and documentation skill at the parent and girls level. They don't know how to apply for the scholarship. There are so many scholarships which are underutilized. And here I have a suggestion, even at the policy level, we can go for a reform, because in India, we have right now more than 2.5 lakh financial inclusion kiosks. And we have about 10 lakh government schools. So if we can make these financial inclusion kiosks as a point from where these scholarship forms can be applied for, and these kiosk operators can be trained further to do all the scholarship documentation process, immediately we can redress to 25% of our bracket beneficiaries. So with our experience, we feel that there must be massive awareness campaigns, especially for states like Jharkhand, Punjab, West Bengal, who are very behind as compared to the national enrollment average, and also integration of existing infrastructure like the financial inclusion kiosk network into the education network, so that these things can be accelerated. And here our organization like AISECT can play a pivotal role, not only in conducting massive awareness generation campaign, because we are present in 27 states and 3 union territories across India. And we have more than 4,000 skill centers all over. Secondly, we can also help in enabling and doing the capacity building of this financial inclusion kiosk operators. I think this will help in catalyzing the entire ecosystem for which we are talking today.
Thank you, Shilpiji. I just love how short, crisp, and to the point you were, and how not only did you identify and highlight the challenges, but you've also kind of shown us pathways in terms of some of the solutions that might actually help starting to resolve for that. And just to summarize what you said, I think you kind of opened up the lack of awareness. It's not just the lack of awareness of financial opportunities or scholarship, but it's also the lack of awareness of career pathways for girls that limit their ability to kind of think of what career options could be. And some of those may not be as cost incentive to train for as some of the traditional science careers that one thinks of. I think you also made a very important point in terms of even if we try to fill this gap by creating awareness through mobilization, who is creating that awareness also becomes an important aspect. And you're saying there is a gender role there as well, where an awareness mobilization drive by women is likely to result in more girls signing up for STEM education. I think the point that you mentioned around the parents' ability to even apply for these scholarships and funding opportunities that exist is another big deterrent, where while they may be aware of career pathways, they just feel like, I don't know how to go about it, I don't know where to apply from. And I think the financial inclusion kiosk idea that you've given and the process of maybe using the schools as a mediums of kind of expanding on some of those access to finance opportunities, I think were very clearly made points. And so thank you very much for, opening up that aspect in our discussion. With that, actually, I'm going to shift the focus to Dr. Jigna, and Dr. Jigna, who's from Piramal. And I know Piramal works very closely in the community, but Piramal also works very closely with government and government systems. So maybe you can help expand on that a little bit for us to understand what needs to happen to make the financial aid more holistic and equity driven, and what support that does the government ecosystem need. We saw from the report that there are a substantial amount of government scholarships that go unutilized. So what could be some support structures that we could kind of look at to build the government ecosystem to ensure that not only does there is an awareness of the funding opportunities, but that the funding reaches the girls who need it the most?
So am I audible?
Yes, you are. Slightly faint, but yes, you are audible.
Is it better?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So hi, I am Jigna, and thanks Arjun for this opportunity. It was very, very insightful, the entire presentation, and even this initiative is very awesome, and it's very close to our heart as the foundation. So trying to answer the two questions together in totality. First, the biggest challenge is that our scholarships are very merit focused. We need these scholarships to be very, very inclusive in terms of not only focusing on कि आपका merit score क्या है, आपका exam score क्या है, to something where their status of probably a first generation learner or a first generation STEM learner needs to be accounted for. Something where their family background, the socio-economic norms, the patriarchal norms that surround a child, a girl child, become the barriers sometimes for them to even think of STEM education. So a financial aid which is lying somewhere for a girl child to be utilized sometimes remain unutilized because of these barriers that we do not account for in our efforts, in our initiatives. One very interesting thing that we as an organization are doing is we get adolescent girls in the panchayat meets, in the community meets, in the Bhal Sabhas, and we talk to them about what stops them from pursuing higher education, or what stops them from pursuing even the secondary education. And something that they share is that we feel unsafe even going to school. And so the transport facilities probably are not up to the mark in especially geographically disadvantaged areas, areas where we see conflict happening very often, or there is some tension between ethnic diversities. Girls also feel shy because they are not equipped with the menstrual hygiene infrastructure, with the menstrual hygiene aids, and so they hesitate coming to the schools. So all of these also needs to be accounted for. It's important, like you also mentioned in the initial presentation, that we see a girl child's journey from when she enters STEM education at grade 9 to how she will thrive through it, how she will cross the barriers in her STEM education, and then not only worry about whether she will get into a higher education college, but also find career pathways for her. For example, she wants to do an ITI. There are a lot of STEM related careers waiting beyond ITI. There are a lot of STEM related careers waiting beyond polytechnics. So are we accounting for that when we offer scholarships to girl children? So this has to become part of the donor written financial aid schemes. It's very crucial, and this will help more and more girl children access scholarships. What we as an organization also feel is that there are 50,000 crores of scholarship across the country for children, and a part of it is for girl children also, but it gets unutilized. I think 25 to 40% of it is only utilized by our children. So we need a digital public infrastructure. We need a place which is kind of a marketplace for donors and a marketplace for beneficiaries. Something we are doing on these lines is like creating a fast tag of scholarship. We did a pilot in one of our districts named Junjunu, and what we were able to do is that we were able to mitigate the 40 weeks duration that our beneficiaries reported in terms of applying for a scholarship and getting the scholarship to 1 week. So 40 weeks to 1 week is a huge experience gap even for a beneficiary who very often feels a trust deficit ki milne wala to nahi hai, to apply bhi nahi karte hain. When we speak to our beneficiaries about why were they not applying all these years, they said ki meri bachchi to grade 6 se hi eligible thi, because we come from a certain community, from a certain disadvantaged geography. But जब भी मैं जाती हूँ या जाता हूँ, मेरी तो पहले मनरेगा की तनख्वाह चली जाती है ना, बिकॉज मुझे छुट्टी लेनी होती है, फिर मुझे बैंक्स में दौड़ना होता है, मुझे डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के लिए दौड़ना होता है, जेरोक्स कॉपीज के लिए दौड़ना होता है, तो 2,000 रुपए मेरे खर्च हो गए, है ना। इंटरनेट कैफे को मैं पकड़ रहा हूँ एप्लीकेशन करने के लिए, लेकिन जो स्कॉलरशिप मिलनी चाहिए वो मुझे 40-50 हफ्ते तक नहीं मिलती है। तो फिर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि पता नहीं ये एफर्ट डालना भी चाहिए या नहीं। सो दीज आर द रियल struggles that our parents, our community have shared with us. So it's very important, and it's high time we create these fast tracks for our beneficiaries to access scholarships that they really deserve, and they are waiting latent for them. So our efforts are on being the voice of girl children, being the voice of the community, and also creating this fast tag, this digital public infrastructure where it will be a marketplace of all the financial aids, and also a place where probably you take 25-30 minutes and create your profile, and you every time get a notification that this is a scholarship you might be eligible for, this is something you can apply for, and you do not have to reapply and create a new application every year. It gets auto renewed. That is what something we are trying to attempt on a larger scale. We did a small pilot in Junjunu, and now we are doing it with the central ministry, and we see how this goes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jigna. That was so insightful. And I also want to thank you for reminding me कि हम लोग dual language का भी use कर सकते हैं. And I just wanted to make sure कि अगर किसी को अभी तक follow नहीं किया है, या कोई point question आपके दिमाग में है, कोई बात आपको समझ में नहीं आई है, तो आप chat पे जरूर डाल दीजिए. I'll be more than happy to come back and respond. All of us are fluent in both the languages, so I think हम respond कर पाएंगे. But I just want to, I love the idea जो आपने दिया है, marketplace for scholarships and the fast tag for scholarships. We are very aware of the challenge कि application और मिलने में कभी-कभी तो हमने सुना है 9 months का भी time लग जाता है, and that pretty much takes up the entire academic year of a child in terms of deciding, waiting for the money to pursue education, and the effort and challenge is substantial. So digital
There's a lot of trust deficit कि कुछ नहीं होगा apply करने से भी.
Correct. The digital public infrastructure idea, I think, is a great idea. And I think we should think about investing into that. So I think that's a clear pathway that you have opened up. But I think some of the other points that you mentioned, right? I think the starting point you mentioned about the focus of this being very much merit-based and not inclusive. And I think that shift is also a significant shift that we probably need to highlight. अगर सिर्फ मेरिट को हम स्कॉलरशिप देंगे तो सिर्फ टॉप 10% बच्चों को ही अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती रहेगी, बाकी 90% को कभी भी नहीं मिलेगी. और वो 90% इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो एकेडमिक टॉप 10% में नहीं है तो वो स्टेम में करियर नहीं बना सकते. आई थिंक दैट इज एन इम्पोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट टू हाईलाइट. एंड हाउ डू यू देन ओपन अप अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर फंडिंग for those children who don't qualify for the merit scholarship in some sense. I think there were two other points that you highlighted, and I'll quickly touch upon them before I move on. I think one, I think that you said was involving the girls in conversations. And for me, I think that is a very important aspect of identification of need. अभी तक जो हम फंडिंग देखते हैं जो मिलती है वो बहुत ही टॉप डाउन ड्रिवन रहती है कि हम वी आर गिविंग एन फंडिंग फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर रीजन, यू कैन अप्लाई. Talking to the girls and getting them involved in panchayat level discussions to understand what their needs are, I think is an important step also in enabling more of them to take up not just education, but specifically science education. And I think the last point that you mentioned is actually a great one, which is also a good segue for me to move to Yogesh ji, is the fact that when we think of career pathways, we think of very, very traditional STEM careers. And there is an opportunity to move beyond the traditional STEM careers and think outside the box for that. And with that, I think I want to move on to Yogesh. Yogesh, you offer alternative tech-focused pathways to enter the STEM workforce. And a lot of people you work with actually don't have a background, a typical background that one would expect. And yet you've broken the dominant narrative to say only traditional science degrees can lead to STEM careers. So with that in mind, can you talk a little bit about the work that you've done? And can you also talk about how the financial support systems can then better align with these non-linear skill-based journeys?
Sure. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you all for inviting us. And thank you for this wonderful report, Dr. Shweta. Looking forward to read that report and get more insights into it. While STEM is the most sought after career, as the STEM itself is very broad for that matter, whether it is sciences or technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? And each one of them has so much of things to offer. But unfortunately, in India, STEM means engineering and medicine. That's how it has been. But if you look at it, it's got a wide variety of both the breadth and the depth. Now, to your question, I think even NEP addresses this. Today, it is all about interdisciplinary, right? I can be a BA student and pick up a strategy as a course, or I can do my chemical engineering and do an AI added to it. Why? Because I think the good old days of putting it in blocks and doing only that is gone. Like when I studied my degree, I can't even think about doing something which I was interested in economics, but never alone. Right? I think today you have that option. NEP provides that. I think that's a fantastic thing. Now, what does Masai do? Masai looks at a STEM a little differently. The STEM for us is skill to earnings mobility. Because the STEM, STEM, we call it as skills to earning mobility here in Masai, because these areas offer women a lot of things which they know what a STEM career could offer, right? Whether in terms of safety, whether in terms of security, whether in terms of parity, whether in terms of mobility. That's what mostly offer. And from the fundamental belief that we have is you don't need a degree in that particular domain to have a career. Sundar Pichai is from metallurgy. Today, he leads the Google of the world, right? So how is that possible? So that is broken. Like I can give you several examples here. I think especially software is truly democratic, I would say, because anyone from any domain can come in. Unlike, law or CA, unless I do an LLB or a CA, I can't practice that. But any one of you can be a software developer or an AI practitioner or a web developer or any of those fields, right? So with that basis, within 6 months, a student enrolling into Masai School is able to pick up that skill, and he or she is able to do it. I just want to take one example here. A girl from a small town called in Andhra Pradesh, and she did her BA, that was supported by an NGO. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out anything. She just had a degree in hand, and father a farmer, mother a daily wage laborer. And then the question was, what next? Then this NGO approached us, can she do something? We said, it doesn't matter what's her background if she's interested in pursuing a career in tech. And today, now she works as a front-end developer, working from home, remote job, and she's earning more than 12 lakhs per annum. Probably she's the highest in the district. And she's become a poster girl for us because a lot of mothers reach out and say, how my daughter can be like your daughter. So the whole idea here is, how can we enable this? And by the way, she paid for her course because we offer pay after placement. We don't take any fee upfront. And she paid to us only when she got a 4 lakh rupee job, and she's paying from her salary account. So I think I'm super shocked that only 40% of the scholarship is used. I wish we knew, because a lot of women who join our program, they don't have a device. A laptop is the biggest blocker for women to join our program. And I wish we knew something like this, and this entire marketplace. Imagine that they have cleared our entrance, they've shown the intent, and they go out there and say that if I have a device, I can be a developer, and Masai vouches for it. And I think wonderful idea, ma'am, that building a marketplace, I think it has to be tech enabled rather than the bureaucracy out of it. So sum and substance, we need to look at STEM very, very broadly. Anyone can pick up any one particular area and move in that direction. I think NEP is helping a student to do that. And just to add to it, maybe a little deviating for me, I think it's like someone give me an example. For a woman, for a girl to a woman to make a career, it is like an onion has multiple layers to be peeled, right? So multiple resistances that keeps coming to her. So kudos to here. I have a lot of women out there today as the panelists, because I know at every stage you would have faced a lot of hurdles and you have overcome those hurdles. And I think a lot of dropout also happens in Masai program from women. So I think we need to address both financially. Yes, is a one major hurdle, but along with that, we need to make it inclusive, as one of the panelists said, so that we enable them their careers. I pause here.
Thank you, Yogesh. And I think I love the change in definition that you've done to the acronym of STEM. I think skills to earning mechanism, I think is a very different way of looking at it. And I think the entire focus is on a career visibility. And I think if there is a career visibility, a lot more girls are likely to take up and think about career options. You've also given us an idea to think about funding and thinking about access to finance from a very different angle, where you pay for it once you've reached or qualified somewhere and you have the ability to pay for it. And so access to finance may not just be limited to scholarships or funds. And like you clearly caught on, right, that a large number of scholarships do go unutilized. One of the challenges, and I'm going to ask our panelists to expand on that later, is also oftentimes, while access and awareness is a deterrent, it is also the multiple conditions that come applied with that scholarship that also make it not a very aspirational thing to apply for. I think the other thing that you touched upon, I think, is, and then you briefly indicated that there are certain types of girls who are actually more equipped to take up careers in STEM. Whether their background education not being very important. And I think that comes very closely relates to the research work that Shweta has led in terms of identifying personas of different girls. And some of the girls are more driven and have more aspirations than the others. And trying to identify that and nurturing that journey, I think also is very, very important in this. And I think the last and most important thing, I think, is what you spoke about in the example you gave, right? The need to have role models. The importance of role models cannot be emphasized enough. And, when we have role models who are 2, 4, 5 levels detached from us, they don't really, they are right there as inspirations, but not really role models for us to aspire to follow.
Very
But
true.
when we have somebody from our own community, from somebody who I can relate to, and when they come across as role models, I think there's a lot more that happens in terms of driving people to take that up. So I think that's also a very important point that you've made. Just doing a time check here. I think we are at 5:40 now, and I think we have maybe one round of more quick questions and maybe 2 to 3 minute quick answers. And then we can also see if we have any questions on chat and see if there are any members in the audience who would like to ask questions. So very quickly then, I'm going to go back to you, Shilpi, and you spoke about the mobilization efforts that you do. And I know that you work with government schools, you provide vocational training. Can you expand a little bit upon, how early mentorship and financial inclusion awareness can shape decisions of girls taking up more and more science-based education? If you have examples that you can share, that will be wonderful.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Arjun. So basically, I would like to be specific in this answer also. As Shweta said, we should focus on 4 kind of personas in the report. So the biggest chunk is aspirers and then the trailblazers. And I would like to say that the biggest challenge in STEM career is there is lack of need-based funding, as she highlighted, as Jigna already said. Need-based funding is the biggest challenge. So what we observe is that if the candidate is belonging to a trailblazer persona, 26% of girls are there who are good in academics and they want to pursue science. But the cost which the government is funding or any other agency is funding is ranging between 1,500 rupees to 3,000 rupees per year. Whereas if we want them really to pursue, as Yogesh was saying, she should have a laptop, she should have an internet connection, then the cost escalates to 22,000 per year to more than 1.5 lakhs annually. So there's a huge gap. Here we need funding partners, donor partners, CSR foundations who should come plug and play in this gap. Because here we have the funding requirement of not one CSR financial year kind of a thing. We need constant sustainable funding projects for at least 4, 5, 7 years, 4 years in school, class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, then 3 years of graduation to let them pursue a good career as per their capability for the trailblazers. So I think here there needs to be a blending between the pocket side and the impact side of these STEM girls. Second is, of course, the largest bracket of aspirers. They are 34% of girls who are not so good academically, but they want to pursue STEM careers. So for them, there is a need to do a constant handholding and career guidance throughout the schooling class 9, 10, 11, 12, and at the same time channelize them to small vocational skill-based training. And this training should be placement link skilling, because through such kind of programs, they will land upon to mid-level jobs, which further opens up their career paths in STEM. And we, from our own experience of doing skilling, vocational skilling in the semi-urban and rural areas, in block and even at panchayat level, we have seen that initially the girls who are getting 3 to 6 month training programs done, they are very happy in getting their first job, even if it is 10 to 12,000 rupees per month. And I have many live examples wherein we have those girls in 6 months to 2 years time are landing up to jobs, that too in other states. and now they are earning 25 to 26,000 rupees per month. So you just imagine a girl from a remotest corner of Madhya Pradesh like Umaria or Dindori is earning 25,000 rupees in a city like Ahmedabad. So that transforms the life of not only that girl, but all the girls around the community. So we need need-based funding patterns from the CSR and donor agencies for specific solution for the trailblazers and a specific solution for the aspirers. And of course, AISECT can help in identifying both the trailblazer communities and the aspirers, because we have a network of 4,000 centers at the block and panchayat level. We can identify these candidates and use the digital and blended infrastructure. Some part of the training, the skill training, can be done digitally, while a hybrid model can also be put in place, because the NSQF structure is already in 10 lakh schools of India. So those teachers can also help in the vocational, facilitating the vocational skill program for this category.
Thank you, Shilpi. I think that's a very important point. And I think what you're highlighting is that the funding cannot, the scholarships and the funds for girls' education cannot be generic. It cannot be one pot of money that has to be used in one way. I think we have to be smart about these funding opportunities. And I think from a funder's lens, I think there has to be more awareness about what are the different personas of girls, what do they need the money for, what might be the best value of the and use of that money. And whether it's needed for career guidance to help them identify which pathway they should take up, to making a decision on whether the funding needs to be given for very specific placement-based skilling opportunities, or for coaching for higher education, for the IITs, and which is a much longer sustained amount of funding. And the other point that I think that came out of it is that it cannot be just a one-time funding. It has to be, planned and systematically done for identified needs over a period of time, so that the value of that can be best derived by girls and they can actually be nurtured into the right career options for them. So I think that is really, really insightful. I'm going to quickly go to Dr. Jigna. And Dr. Jigna, just building on this, right? Just because you also work with a large number of girls, what are some of the other kind of costs which might be visible, sometimes invisible, that you see families navigating, and which would be important to factor in as we think about an enabling financial support system to help girls take up STEM careers? एंड जस्ट मैं हिंदी में भी एक बार समराइज कर देता हूँ पिछली बात, क्योंकि अब मेरे को फिर से याद आया कि आई थिंक आई शुड बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट दिस. पर आई थिंक जो पॉइंट शिल्पी जी ने बोला है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, कि एक बार पैसे देने से किसी भी गर्ल को किसी करियर ऑप्शन में ले जाना प्रैक्टिकल नहीं है. गर्ल्स की एबिलिटी, गर्ल्स की एस्पिरेशंस को देखते हुए उनको करेक्ट करियर पाथवे के लिए गाइड करना बहुत जरूरी है. और हर करियर पाथवे का फाइनेंशियल नीड अलग है, और वो हर बार एक टाइम पेमेंट से नहीं होता है. सस्टेन पीरियड ऑफ टाइम से करेक्ट पाथवे पे उन लड़कियों को करियर पाथवेज पे नर्चर करते हुए अगर आगे बढ़ाएंगे, तो बहुत सारी लड़कियां और STEM related careers के लिए तैयार हो पाएंगी. But Dr. Jigna, I'll come back to you and let you respond to my question.
So visible costs are the ones that we very usually talk about in our financial schemes. We need to pay for the tuitions, we need to pay for the books, we need to pay for the resources like internet package or something. But beyond that, keeping your digital devices updated, having adequate resources so that you can procure menstrual hygiene resources, you can procure hostels that are safe, you can choose for a transport mode that is safe. Sometimes a lot of our girls come from very, very disadvantaged backgrounds, and the next STEM school, the school where they can study STEM in their 9th to 12th, or the next STEM college where they can pursue their career, is not very close. It's not even in the 25-kilometer diameter. So how do you make transportation safe and accessible? And how do you make it possible for this girl child child to even think of a career because uski ITI 25 kilometer dur hai, the polytechnic is 25 kilometers far, and the scholarship amount is not adequate to pay for all of that. The other very interesting thing is a lot of these girl children actually do not pursue higher education because of the stigma that if we get educated, nobody would want to marry us. So this requires a lot of change management at the community level and the costs involved. And because the scholarship very easily thinks that everyone will now access it because it's on the marketplace, right? But these patriarchies, these social stigmas, these tensions that these barriers that the girl child faces, there are ways that these can be mitigated, but there are costs involved in that, right? And these need to be accounted for, वरना वो incremental growth होगा. इस बार 20% बच्चियों ने STEM लिया, and now 23% and now 26%. If we take into account both the visible costs and the invisible costs, and also empathize with the barriers that a girl child faces, especially when they are from marginalized communities, when they are from the remote geographies, the disadvantaged geographies, we might be able to meaningfully create opportunities for these girls. Yeah, I don't know what was the second part of the question.
No, I think you answered the question, Dr. Jigna, and I think I like the 2 points that you made. Right? One is that visible costs are very visible in any way people can see, and we often relate them to academic education and tuition fees and coaching classes. There are other visible costs sometimes that are not directly relatable, which include transportation costs, right? And while the cost is visible, sometimes it's not attributed and not catered or factored into any financial assistance that is given to girls. But I think the more important and the larger point you made around the invisible costs is the cost of social change. And the lack of a girl's willingness to take up careers, higher education, or any kind of STEM education largely stems from the fact of the stigma sometimes that's associated with what will I do? How will I get married? How will the society accept me? And I'll be an outcome.
दूर कैसे जाएंगे? STEM में तो सारे बॉयज होते हैं, वहां मैं कैसे सरवाइव करूंगी? एंड मेरे से कौन शादी करेगा? मेरी मम्मी ने बोला है अब तेरा शादी करने का टाइम आ गया है. And there are innumerable such things that flood her brain, and then something needs to happen. And when you see the marketplace of scholarships, even now, the funding is for the tuition, the funding is for sometimes transportation, sometimes for a digital device, but there is no funding, for example, that makes this girl feel informed कि मेरे career pathways क्या हो सकते हैं in spite of the barriers that I have. What is it that I am feeling bothered by? Where does she go for her counseling? Where does she go for her mentoring? Where does she go to find where are the career paths? I am living in that disadvantaged geography, and probably there is some placement cell in the midst of the city, but I do not know how to access anyone anywhere without a digital public infrastructure or without a means to pay for it. I think that there are too many invisible costs that stop these girls from even thinking.
Very true, Dr. Jigna. Thank you so much for that input, and I think for highlighting the invisible costs aspects as well that require work. But let me, in the interest of time, I'll move on to Yogesh. And Yogesh, just building on this, how do you think financial aid schemes can be designed to go beyond just the visible tuition or course fees and truly support a girl's journey through science from school to career? It'd be great to hear your perspective of what needs to happen to make these funds more inclusive and also demand-led.
Absolutely, Arjun. I think if you look at this entire school to career, can be broadly put it into 4 phases. The phase 1 being the high school, where I think creating awareness and interest is extremely important. Probably here, the funding can come in terms of bite-size learning courses, sponsoring certain toolkits, where you make science interesting. I think this is the stage in which a lot of people decide, I don't like math. So I take biology, or that is the way the reasoning happens. So I don't like either, so I go for commerce. So I think creating awareness and interest is important. But I forgot to tell you, the goal is India becoming Viksit Bharat, right, in 2047. For that to happen, I think if women is not participating, almost it's written. And in that, if the girls are not going to get into STEM, because STEM careers is going to contribute immensely to the overall GDP. So it is simply not possible for us to achieve that. While on Excel, everything looks good. You have a compounded growth rate of 8%, we will get there. But execution is important, and to make sure the barriers are there. So coming back to it, so probably we need to break down one at the high school level. At this stage, I think the stakeholders, not just the students, but also the parents, needs to be addressed. So with digital infrastructure available, if parents can be made more aware of what STEM career is going to offer, then I think they are ready for it. So the second phase is at once the girl reaches 11th and 12th, I think the preparation starts, getting into the right college. So at that time, maybe the coaching, what is required, because without coaching, I think well, success do happen, but it's coaching will act as a catalyst. Whatever way it can be done, I think the second phase would be there. The third phase is all about skill building, I would say. While college would give knowledge, college would give degree, but this is an important piece, because the moment of truth is here when that girl child completes the degree. What happens with that degree? If the girl just comes out with a degree, then the society would say, "Zyada kuch fayda nahi hua na." So you have a degree, it has actually made me more difficult for me to get a boy, for you to get married. But I have a girl here who not only got a degree, got skilled. And this is a true story what happened, Arjun, in one of our student batch, where this girl is from a small town in Maharashtra, where parents were not willing to send her to do software development course, thinking that it's only for BTech. Then we said that it is open for everyone. And she did the course, and she got a job in Bangalore, which related in an alliance being fixed. Yeah, as she got the offer letter, then the father said, I want to thank Masai and invite you for the wedding, not because of the skilling, but she got married because she got a job in Bangalore, right? So it opens up multiple things. I think the next important aspect, while you push people into STEM, but the skilling doesn't happen, they end up only with degree, it's not going to serve the purpose. And finally, I know the jobs are tough to come by. I think we need to be with this girl to make sure that the careers are launched. So we need to look at an NGO coming in and plugging. I will come in, not just NGO for that matter, anyone who want to give a financial aid. I think beyond paying the school fees, beyond paying the college fees, I think that is not going to suffice. So these are the various things they can look into it. And I think what better not at this time this report is being published. I think it will open up a lot of lenses, people to look at it, rather than just let's give some student a fee. And one more thing, I think that's very important, the merit. I think somehow the scholarships have been tagged to merit. I think it is good, but that's not the only way in which the girl child should be considered for the scholarship, because then it may already, maybe in that 10% you're giving, maybe 50% really doesn't need the scholarship. So it should be merit come means scholarship rather than just the merit around. Thank you.
No, thank you, Yogesh. And I think very nicely you've classified the needs across the journey of a child's education spectrum. And I think, maybe there is a need for interest and awareness to be developed, and that is pretty holistic. And I think the approach has to be open for a larger set of girls and anyone and everyone, so that there is awareness of what the career options are. And I think including the parents in that awareness process is an important point that you've highlighted. And often you will not find enough funding that is made available for that aspect. And if the parents are not aware, that mindset shift is not going to happen. And I think that shift of a parent to recognize that a career in STEM is not necessarily going to limit the ability of my girl to get married, but actually open up more opportunities for her. And I think that kind of an awareness session. I think then the clear shift from there to identifying the need of a girl to get paid for coaching classes and vocational skilling classes, etc. And I think that coaching versus skill building exercise can happen either parallelly or sequentially, depending on the persona of the girl and her ability to kind of take that forward. And I think the need to make sure that there are enough sufficient career opportunities that are designed to include and ensure that these girls come into these mainstream jobs, I think is also an important point that you mentioned. I'm aware that we only have 2 minutes, but I'm also seeing that we don't have too many questions on chat. So I'm hoping that we can take up maybe go over by a few minutes and close this conversation. And Seema ji, I started with you, and I'm going to end with you today. And I think I want to ask you, right? One of the things that you do is actually customize aid and to try and fit different aspirations. And I want to ask you to help expand on that a little bit, right? And how does the Smile Foundation think about customizing aid to fit different aspirations? And what do you think, in your opinion, can be done to make sure that there is more awareness about not just the funding opportunities, but also the career opportunities that lie beyond for girls?
Right. Yeah. So Arjun, there are two parts of it. One is the customization of the scholarship, the aid, and the second part is the awareness. So I'll attend the first one first, precisely. We need to work with the holistic approach for a deeper impact. I mean, scholarships and beyond. So whenever we get a project, it's not one project. Every scholar onboarded on it is like a project to us. Each scholar is unique, and we plan the individualized plan for each scholar instead of making a generic plan. So besides the profiling and everything, need assessment is done. We make an IP basis the aptitude test scores, interest of the scholar, resources and the family support, and what's happening in the family. That's also very important. And a kind of level of preparation that a girl can give for the competitive exams, and all the factors influencing her learning. So we take an account. We also emphasize a lot on life skills training, the level she is on, and how to customize the modules for her training. That's also very important. And mentorship is one important part of it. I mean, like the girl who gets individualized attention, guidance, encouragement, and role model. That's very important. So support system, creating the support systems also, which provide the counseling services, peer networks. So this is the way, we are making the customizing the scholarships for each student. And generally what we are doing is we are building the awareness about the scholarships and the schemes available. During the career guidance and counseling sessions, we host the workshops and information sessions that can guide the students through the scholarship landscape. They are also informed about the online platforms, and a lot of hand-holding, of course, is done for that, which provide the comprehensive database of the scholarships tailored for the various demographies, various sections. A lot of efforts of ours goes towards, making the girls equipped with understanding the importance of scholarship. We guide them with the available options, meeting the eligibility requirements, completing the applications properly, getting the right documents attached to. I mean, the eligibility and the application should also go seamlessly. And also along with that, taking the advantage of, additional resources, so that, these girls, young girls, can carve their way towards a brighter future. So this is what, I mean, because of the time shortage, I can just explain this way. Yeah. So that's from my end.
No, but thank you so much, Imaji. I think very nicely you kind of, told us that it's not just about providing scholarship for academics. It's about creating an individual, unique plan for each girl and hand-holding their journey to make sure that, while they're in school, to when they graduate and get into a career or higher education opportunities, there is a plan and there is a support structure in place. I think you also helped identify and build on the importance of non-academic related inputs that also need to be given to girls to ensure that they continue to build their agency and stand up, and kind of take up careers in which are typically male dominantly associated in some sense, right? Like I've heard a lot on this panel today that ye to boys ke career hote hai, girls ke liye nahi hai. And so I think that focus on building a unique plan for each girl, ensuring that there are funding opportunities for skills like life skills, and ensuring that there is a way that mentorship happens, I think are all key aspects that need to come together. I know we are bang on time, Shweta. We got the opportunity of engaging as a panel 5 minutes late, and we are bang on time with like 5 minutes over. So we've taken up our entire duration. But before I hand it back to you, I want to thank my panel. I think you guys have been amazing, and it's very inspiring to see the work that you and your organizations are driving. And we would have to continue to engage, to see more and more opportunities of how we can ensure that there are more girls who take up careers in STEM. With reports coming out to say in the next 5 years, 80% of careers will require STEM. And let's translate that to mean skills, to earning mechanisms, as Yogesh has pointed out. But I also want to take the opportunity of thanking Aditi and the AISECT team. You've been a constant pillar of support in this, and I think this report wouldn't have been possible without the investment that you've made into finding this. And we do value that partnership as well, and we thank the entire AISECT fraternity for coming together and making this so important conversation and giving a space for this to come. With that, I will hand it back to you, Shweta, for you to do your closing remarks, and thank everyone else who joined in.
Thank you so much, everyone here in the panel. I think Arjun, I would thank you also to have moderated such an engaging conversation, and I think I got a lot of answers to the questions that were there in my mind in terms of how do we scale, कैसे होगा, रिसर्च तो कह रही है ऐसा होना चाहिए, पर ऑन ग्राउंड कैसे कर सकते हैं, एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स आई थिंक आई लव द कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड द सॉल्यूशंस दैट वर ब्रॉट टू द टेबल, एंड दैट रियली has added a lot of ideas and work to me, to my this thing, like how do I take it forward now from here. Thank you so much everyone who has been part of this journey, few visible, few invisible people who have supported us over here to reach here. And as Arjun, you were mentioning, the panel has been amazing. AISECT support has been awesome, and at the same time I think I would thank the entire Sattva team here who's with me, ensuring that this webinar is happening, and the two cute girls who have been part of our respondents. Archana, thank you. Throughout हमारे conversation के साथ वो रही हैं यहाँ पर, and the lot of field people had also joined. It has been a long journey for us, and I hope we continue on this path. If you have any feedback, anything related to report or future collaborations, I think collaboration is the way to go to solve such wicked problems that we are dealing with. Please write to us, and we are available to respond to your queries. Look forward to your response and feedback. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shweta, and thank you all the panelists for this wonderful conversation, and thank you, Arjun, for moderating it brilliantly.
Thank you all for hosting. All the very best. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Arjun, Shweta, and the whole team at Sattva for